Welcome to Be Healing with Louise. Hi, the podcast for heart-led souls who are healing, awakening, and remembering who they truly are. If you'd like a free message from your higher self, you can get yours right now at behealing.com. It's my way of helping you reconnect to your own inner guidance. Because sometimes the next step isn't something you figure out, it's something you feel. So let's drop in now together. Last week in episode 16, I shared a very personal story, how I was suddenly given 10 days to move out of my home after 9 years with no savings, no safety net, and how I completely broke down before everything miraculously fell into place. If you haven't heard that one yet, you might want to listen to it first. It's the story of hitting rock bottom, of being cracked open, and of discovering that when everything falls apart, something is actually falling together. This week I want to go deeper because what came after that breakdown taught me something even more profound about letting go, about trusting the timing. It's about the strange beauty of being held when you stop trying to do it all yourself. You've heard that phrase, haven't you? Just let go. It sounds so peaceful and wise, but no one really tells you how. How do you let go when you're terrified? When you don't know how the bills will be paid, when you don't have a plan, when your whole body is clenched around survival. For years, I thought letting go meant doing it better, thinking more positive thoughts, keeping my vibration high, manifesting more precisely, meditating longer, visualizing harder, and then letting go of the outcome. But that's not letting go. That was control. Control disguised as spirituality. It was me trying to fix everything myself, me still clinging to the idea that if I could just do it right enough, I'd be safe. That's what so much of the self-help world teaches. Help yourself, because no one else will. It's independence dressed as enlightenment, and it keeps us stuck in the same loneliness that created the struggle in the first place. When I reached breaking point, when I was too tired to fake being strong anymore, letting go didn't feel serene. It felt messy. It felt like panic. It felt like collapse. It actually felt like dying. And maybe it was. The death of a part of me that believed I had to do it all alone. What I realized in those days is that even my idea of abundance has been another mask. I was still trying to manifest enough to keep carrying the whole burden by myself. Just enough money to keep the illusion going. Just enough flow to survive. But that's not abundance. That's survival dressed as success. That's control wearing sparkly clothes. We tell ourselves we're manifesting freedom, but what kind of freedom is it if the goal is to afford to stay separate, to buy our way out of needing others? That's not freedom. That's fear in disguise. Because real abundance is connection. It's the web of love and support that catches you when you fall. But we've been trained not to feel that truth, because if we actually felt how broken this world has become, we'd have to stop pretending everything's okay. This system, this way of life, is violent to the human soul. It tells us to compete, to isolate, to prove our worth through endless doing. And instead of feeling how painful that is, we avoid it. We call it enlightenment. We call it alignment. We use positivity as a shield. We try and manifest our way out of despair, still trapped in the same game. As long as I'm okay, as long as I'm playing the capitalist game better than the rest, I can keep holding it all together. But how long can that last? Maybe if your surname is Rockefeller, you'll ride it out a bit longer, but this collapse, this falling away of what isn't real, it's coming for us all. Because what isn't built on love cannot last. And that's actually good news. Because collapse isn't punishment, it's liberation. It's life removing everything false so that only what's true can remain. But to meet that truth, we have to feel the grief of losing our old ways, to feel the fear of not knowing what's next. To feel the deep ache of remembering that we were never meant to do it alone. When I stopped pretending I was okay, when I let myself fall apart, love came flooding in. Friends appeared. Help arrived from places I'd never expected. Even my new landlord's words, everything is going to be okay in the end, love. Felt like they came straight from the universe. That's what abundance really feels like. Not safety built on control, but safety built on connection. Not being rich enough to survive alone, but being loved enough to be supported together. When we allow that, the energy starts to flow again. Life begins to breathe us. Synchronicity returns, and that's when the trust begins to grow. Because here's the next layer I've been shown. Letting go and trusting the timing are the same thing. When you stop forcing life to move on your schedule, you begin to see that life has its own rhythm. When you stop trying to control every step, you start to notice that the path is forming beneath your feet. Trusting the timing doesn't mean doing nothing or trying to force things into your independent timetable. It means doing only what's yours to do, and then resting in the mystery for the rest. It means believing that the pause is just as sacred as the progress, that the breakdown and the delay are part of the alignment, not proof that you're off track. I can see now that the universe needed me to slow down, to stop running on survival adrenaline, to stop trying to prove I was strong. Because if I hadn't stopped, if I hadn't fallen apart, I never would have let that help in. The divine timing wasn't late. I was just early, rushing ahead of the moment, trying to make things happen. And it was already in motion. Things were already happening behind the scenes. So maybe for all of us, this is a deeper invitation right now to let life catch up with us. Stop managing, forcing, hustling, doing so much. Most of us doing 3 jobs now just to survive. And to allow the in-between time, that messy, uncertain, uncomfortable middle, to be exactly what it is, a sacred recalibration. Because when you finally stop pushing, life begins to push for you. And that's when the miracles start to happen. So if you're in that space right now, if you're tired, scared, uncertain, and if you're tempted to force the next step, just take a breath. You don't have to know how it's going to unfold. You don't have to keep that mask on. You don't have to hold it together. You can fall apart. You can rest. You can let the timing reveal itself. Everything is working out, just not in the way control would have it done, but in the way love is doing it. So let's take a deep breath together. Inhaling. Feeling the truth of this moment, and exhaling, letting our bodies soften. You don't need to strive. You don't need to fix, and you don't need to know what's next. Everything is going to be okay in the end. You can rest now. Next week, I'll be recording from my new home, and I'll share what I've heard from that, what I've learned from that transition, what it feels like to land somewhere new after the storm has passed. Until then, let it be messy. Let it be real. Let it unfold in its own time, and let yourself be heard. We're here to bring in the new, not to continue with the old, and it feels like we're being pushed in that direction now. So thank you so much for listening to Be Healing with Louise. Hey, and remember, you can always receive your first message from your higher self at behealing.com, free, and explore all my meditations, readings, and programs there too. If this episode touched you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it today. That's how we ripple the love out into the world. So I'll see you next week from my new home with whatever the next chapter of this journey has to teach me.